Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Tuesday morning to you all. Hope you guys are waking up and feeling good out there this morning and having a wonderful start to your day and a great week out there so far. Here to bring you the latest information that we have on many things in this morning's video. And if you're a cold and winter weather fan, you'll probably like this video as we're going to break down a winter storm risk across areas of the eastern U.S. Not everybody will see snow. But, even areas outside the higher elevations could see accumulating snow from this setup. It's a tricky setup, so we're going to try to explain it the best way we can. We're going to compare model guidance as far as, how much snow is showing, with this model compared to that. We're really going to get detailed with you guys for that, to get you guys a good idea of how much snow you could potentially see or maybe not see. So we'll speak on that after we get done discussing this storm system coming up for the end of this work week into this weekend. We will discuss a pattern change that looks like it's setting up as we round off the last several days of November. And yes, this does include Thanksgiving week for sure. In fact, I think we're going to have a winter storm risk somewhere next week across the middle of the country. I think a lot of Arctic air is going to dump down. How far south, we're not quite sure. I think we're going to have an active storm track, and I think we're going to run a multiple winter storm risk across areas of the country. So we're going to speak on that. We're not going to get very detailed on how much snow could fall with those winter storms because we don't even know if they're going to happen. But we're going to break down the pattern that we're seeing going forward and get more and more detailed on it as we just get a little bit closer to that time frame, right? So after we get done doing that, of course, we always will discuss what's going to happen weather-wise across the entire lower 48 as we have a powerful storm system moving into the Pacific Northwest right now. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. If anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put those in the comments below so I can pray over it and it gives others an opportunity to do so too. Let's get rocking and rolling this morning. I'm feeling pretty good. I don't know about y'all. I certainly hope you are, but this is working for us, so we're good to go. We're going to start off by looking at the water vapor loop. This is going to kind of link to what we're going to discuss after this, okay? So just follow me here, and we'll try to explain it the best way we can. All right, so the whiter colors you see on your screen, more moist air in the atmosphere. The darker colors, black, dark grays, that's more dry air. So, we got this big area of more whiter, more gray colors here. This indicates where there's just more moisture in the atmosphere. And then we got this area right here. We got a lot of rain and storm action that's out ahead of this main cold front in this trough. And, just to explain the colors on your screen, which are very dull, by the way, let's explain what's going on with the pattern. So if you notice, we got a flow going in like this, okay? And then it kind of shoots up like this. And then we got our actual low pressure right here moving across areas of the upper Midwest. And then the flow kind of goes out like that. And then it kind of gets a little weird right here. So this is our trough digging down across the entire western U.S. So the entire western U.S. there is lower pressure. We got some energy around. Of course, we got more energy associated with the actual storm system moving into the Pacific Northwest right now. But this is where we're having a trough in place, a trough of low pressure. A little bit of a ridge spike here. This is why this storm system moved due north across the middle of the country over the last couple days. And out ahead of it, we're getting a lot of moist flow out the Gulf of Mexico. So this is why we're getting a steady feed of moist air, rain across the deep south this morning. And, the remnants of Sarah is actually aiding in this moist air getting pulled and just flat out moisture, rain getting pulled into the deep south. So I just want to explain the pattern right now. Now, kind of keep your eyes on this up into here, down into this, right? Kind of ridge spike, trough digging down. Okay, you see that. Now, let's get this back off your screen. Let's compare it to the upper pattern that we're actually seeing on models currently. It makes sense, right? Trough, which is the blue, a lower pressure digging down across the western U.S. There's the ridge spike. The warmer colors, the orange, reds, right in here. And then there's this little spinning, kind of blocked, a low pressure because of the intense blocking up in Canada in the North Atlantic. It just continues to spin around out here. So it makes sense, okay? The flow around this is going to go like that, okay? And then, around the ridge is different. So if you actually compare the arrows I just drew right here, and compare it to the actual water vapor loop, there's the flow right there. So it makes sense. So now that we got that kind of, under our belt here, if you will, let's keep this going. So this is for right now. Let's keep this going. All right. So we start to get into Wednesday morning. All right. We start to get this trough that continues to show up, but this kind of gets cut off from the main flow. It kind of just detaches from this area right here. In fact, a ridge begins to spike across the western U.S. And we're going to take this into tomorrow evening. This big area of blue is just, think of this as unsettled weather. It's a big upper low, very large, very broad, upper trough, upper low, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of energy associated with this, and it kind of brings its own cold air. It doesn't have a true source of cold air being injected into this from the Arctic or from Canada, wherever. It kind of is bringing its own cold air, and this can work out in the form of winter weather this time of the year. We're getting deeper into November, closer to December. This can work. So this continues to kind of move over the Great Lakes region, move over the eastern U.S. And, I'm going to kind of draw on this a little bit. The actual central upper low, maybe right here, say Thursday morning. And then we got just areas of energy kind of pinwheeling around this upper low like this. Okay, now some of this energy that I say doesn't make it to the surface as anything, rain, snow. Some of it does. But you just got kind of energy going around this area of low pressure, cyclonically, just like we talk about in the tropics. So you keep this going and you get it into Friday morning, and you see this darker shade of blue right here. This is kind of an inner piece of energy kind of swinging around the southwestern side of this main upper low. And this actually right here, this darker blue, is really what's going to get snow going in the higher elevations of the Appalachian Mountains. Big time snow. In fact, some areas could get feet of snow in like West Virginia. And yes, we can get accumulating snow outside of West Virginia too. But this big area of blue is going to spin around, dance around, and do some wild stuff, I think, over the eastern U.S., especially as we get into this weekend. So what does this look like at the surface? All right, so this is the eastern U.S., and we're really just going to focus in on this. Wednesday morning, all right, we're going to start out by tomorrow morning, the 20th, tomorrow. All right, we continue to move forward. We got some moisture across the southeast, the eastern U.S. We start to get into tomorrow evening. Some rain, trying to switch a little bit of snow. Okay, in lower Michigan, even the UP of Michigan, not a big story. This could pick up in intensity based off the GFS. So GFS now showing heavy snow, just enough cold air. There's cold air aloft, but what about the surface? Looks like enough cold air kind of mixes down to the surface. And this is a very dynamic system. You need dynamics. Dynamics meaning you need heavy rates of precipitation to really bring that cold air down that will be kind of locked into the upper levels of the atmosphere because of this upper trough. Not a lot of cold air at the surface with this. But we're getting into, say, Thursday morning. We're starting to get some snow showers breaking out across the Midwest, even Indiana, Ohio. And then we start to get into Thursday afternoon. It starts to get interesting. GFS showing moderate snow falling across Chicago. Some snow showers. I know this just shows splotches of blue across Ohio, but that's probably going to be in the form of snow shower, something like that. Look at the snow falling in western PA. We got this secondary low developing around the main upper low, forming over here, like on Long Island potentially. This could get heavier precipitation, mixing with snow in the interior northeast area. We continue to keep going, and we start to get into the middle of the night Thursday night, and this area of energy starts to swing down through Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, and this could be in the form of some light to moderate snow. Look at the heavy snow into the interior sections of the Northeast and New England that's falling. This could get interesting. This could trend more. And then we get into Friday morning, and the snow makes it all the way down to the northern Cumberland Plateau. The southern Alps, the Smokies, the higher elevations of the Northeast Tennessee mountains of West Virginia, obviously. And, snow could be falling in Boone, Banner, Elk. I'm going to be heading up to the mountains Friday morning, so this is actually trend a little bit more favorable for me. But obviously we know there's a lot of people that are living in tents in certain areas of North Carolina, and I really think this will be the first, I wouldn't say significant taste of winter, but this is going to bring cold air and definitely a winter feel out there. So hoping for the best in that situation, obviously, for obvious reasons. But, we're starting to get into mid-morning Friday. And, you're starting to see the darker shades of blue. We could have some snow, like, just flying around down here all the way into Friday afternoon. Friday, evening, we still got some lingering snow. But check out up here in the interior mid-Atlantic, New England, especially these higher hills and elevations. It's snowing like crazy. Look at this. Full-fledged snowstorm. This is something we got to watch. And then energy continues to pinwheel around this upper low. And the higher elevations of West Virginia continues to maintain its snow throughout most of the weekend. And then this departs and heads on out. What about the Euro? Euro's a little bit warmer. Okay, this is the latest Euro 2. We're starting to get into Thursday morning. There's the snow showers, those still showing up. Not as heavy in Chicago, but we got some snow in Wisconsin, northern Illinois, northern Indiana, getting into Ohio. And then check it out. We start to get into Thursday afternoon. Look at the snow starting to pick up in intensity in West Virginia. Rain, snow showers in Pittsburgh, Columbus, Cincinnati, Cleveland. I think it's possible. And then look at the snow. See this embedded area of energy right here? You see the L's, one here, one down here. These are pieces of energy flying, kind of going around the actual upper low, the upper trough, if you will. And here comes an intense one right here, bringing some snow Thursday afternoon in Chicago. And then as we're starting to get into Thursday evening, some of this energy will start to get all the way down into eastern Kentucky, the northern Cumberland Plateau, all the way down to the southern Alps. And then check out the snow flying around the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee. So this has actually trended a little bit further southwest with the snow all the way down to the southern Alps. And this lingers around, and look at the heavy snow in the Allegheny Mountains, the West Virginia Mountains, the Highlands, and could have another wave that gets going. So an interesting weekend and then into the weekend of weather for sure. Now I will tell you, the Euro not as aggressive with heavy interior New England and Northeast snow as the GFS, but something to certainly watch. And just a closer look at Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, areas that are outside those higher elevations, because I think a lot of people think this is just going to be higher elevation snow. It's not. I mean, this is getting into Thursday afternoon. Look at all the snow flying around. And this is getting into Friday morning. The energy will make it all the way down to the southern Alps, folks. I mean, pretty interesting stuff. And then looking in West Virginia, let's see. Take a look at West Virginia here. I mean, the snow begins to fall, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, could linger around all the way to Sunday morning, folks. So pretty wild stuff, and you look at the NAM, which is starting to get in range. This is for Thursday evening. It wants to dump a heavy period of wet snow across Ohio. And then this gets all the way down into West Virginia. So really interesting stuff showing up by the models. And we're obviously continuing to watch. And, just to break down some snowfall maps here, this is the GFS ensemble from this morning. So the latest run. And, showing a little bit of snow in Wisconsin, northern Illinois, Chicago, wanting to go for an inch of wet snow. And this is the 10-to-1 ratio. And this snow will probably not be falling at a 10-to-1 ratio. We'll go into that in a later time. But, obviously, the lower ratio, the more the snow is falling, it probably higher temperatures, and the ground temperatures are warmer, certainly. But we could get a few inches of wet snow based off the GFS ensemble in lower Michigan, Ohio, certainly showing a couple inches. And, you compare this, we'll say, let's look at, let's go down and get down into the Alps region. Let's go look at the same time frame at this model. Let's take it all the way out to about Monday. And we're just going to do some of this on the fly, so I didn't have to pull up any more tabs than what I already have pulled up. And the signal has increased down into the Smokies. This had kind of dropped off. Now the mean is back to like, an inch. And look at the Northeast Tennessee mountains. I mean, a couple inches of snow. A solid signal in West Virginia of snow. And look at this signal here in the Northeast. So, I'm not going to try to mention every state, but you get what I mean. I mean, there's a solid signal here. And then we look at the Northeast with this. And let's go out, same thing all the way. Let's just like this. And this is between now and Monday afternoon, next Monday afternoon. It really likes the southern tier of New York, Binghamton, Scranton. I really think this is going to be elevation driven, but this is the GFS ensemble, okay? And then we look at the EPS. Same, we'll kind of go back to the Midwest and areas of the Great Lakes region. And, it's a little bit more aggressive in Chicago. A couple inches of snow, 1.5 inches in Milwaukee, Green Bay, 1.5 inches of snow. In Indianapolis shows about 2 inches of snow. Even down here, like, Cincinnati, Dayton, Columbus, Chicago, the whole entire state of Ohio, a couple inches of snow. And, it gets really aggressive right here at the Indiana and lower Michigan border here, maybe a little bit of lake enhancement. So once again, we'll drop down a little bit further south and Look at our friends here in the mid-Atlantic and really just the mountainous regions here. And we'll go all the way out to about Monday afternoon. And let's see, what is this from? Yeah, we don't have the 06Z. And I mean, this is the Euro from overnight. The signal has really increased, even as far south as the Smokies. The Euro ensemble showing a pretty, I would say, small to moderate event for the apps of Tennessee, North Carolina, even a little signal for snow in the Cumberland Plateau, Eastern Kentucky, an inch or so. And then, of course, it is slamming the highlands of West Virginia up to the Allegheny Mountains. And then there's that signal showing up, same as the GFS ensemble for southern New York, northern PA. Dynamics can kick in and do some wild stuff, folks. It really can. You cannot ignore the fact that this is an upper low. And even though the cold air that typically comes with these systems is very, I wouldn't use the word stagnant, but it's not as good, it can work. But man, there's a solid snowfall mean on the Euro ensemble in the southern tier of New York, northern PA, and of course the interior higher elevations of New England and the Northeast. And then, we'll kind of start to wrap this up by looking at the blend of all models. And it's about an inch in Chicago, not as much in Wisconsin, but it does highlight that favorite area in Indiana and Michigan border here. I mean, even the blend of all models drops 2 inches of snow, 10-to-1 ratio, in Indianapolis. I mean, the entire state of Ohio gets accumulating snow, even though it's a couple inches. We'll kind of, once again, move down south, look at the mid-Atlantic, go all the way out to Monday, and go back down. And I mean, the signal, a couple inches in the Smokies at least. I think more could fall above 6,000 feet. And there is, the blend of all models printing out a foot and a half of snow in West Virginia. And look at the signal in Ohio. Look at, Kentucky. And then up here, here's that favorite area, especially the Catskills, maybe the Poconos. Catskills, maybe a foot of heavy snow could fall, maybe. Okay. And then we round it off and look at the Northeast here and go all the way out. And this is what it shows. I think the blend of all models has the right idea when it comes to, you see how it's showing the valleys where it's hardly nothing, and then the mountainous regions of like the Adirondacks, Tokyo Plateau, Green and White Mountains, Catskills really hits them hard. This could be a heavy hitter for you folks, but the lower elevations, I don't know about that. Now, the National Weather Service is getting in the range. It's all the way through Friday morning. Let's see if we have a new one. Yeah, it's all the way through Friday morning. Okay. The National Weather Service, okay, they're going for a few inches of snow in Ohio. Widespread 1 to 3.5 inch snowfall totals. Even in Indiana, pockets in lower Michigan. So they're starting to bite on this. And West Virginia, just through Friday morning. This is only through Friday morning. It's just the beginning of the storm, already with several inches, a foot of snowfall on the higher elevations of West Virginia. And look at the snow. This is just through Friday morning. It's just starting to get going down here. A couple inches of snow showing up in the higher elevations of the Northeast Tennessee mountains. And then maybe a little accumulating snow in Boone and Banner Elk. And, of course, we just got to watch, and this storm really doesn't get going in the Northeast and New England until, I would say later in the time period, but it's already starting to add up snow in these areas too. So, this is legitimately the first winter storm for these areas of the season. They will hit winter storm criteria. But the winds will be whipping, guys, especially in the higher elevations of the central and southern apps. 30, 40, 50 mile per hour wind gusts are possible, even some stronger winds in the Cumberland Plateau. So can't ignore the winds either. That'll be a factor. Now, moving past this storm system, let's look at this potential significant pattern change that could set up the round off November. So this is the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. Takes us from about, a couple days before Thanksgiving all the way to December the 2nd. This is interesting to me, okay? Above average temperatures start to dominate the eastern U.S. again. I don't know how long that's going to last, but one thing I'm watching is the below average temperatures setting up over the northern sections of the country. This tells me that cold air is coming in from the south, from the north, okay? So we got to watch this. This, to me, screams Arctic air coming down, especially when we get this look from the Climate Prediction Center. All right, you mix that with the precipitation chances. Above average precipitation okay, overlapping, underlapping the below average temperatures. What does that tell us? You're probably going to get a winter storm threat. Okay, Climate Prediction Center also dropped this graphic yesterday. From the 26th to the 28th, a slight chance of heavy snowfall, 20 to 40% chance. It also has it for this area. My friends tuning in from the UP and Michigan, 28th to the 30th, they're already issuing a slight risk of heavy snowfall in this area. And even the interior New England and Northeast areas also. So, in this area right here, they're already going for a slight risk of much below normal average temperatures. Okay, why is this showing up? Well, let's talk about the potential for storm systems first. And honestly, I should show you temperatures first, but we're going to show you this. Crowd favorite, I'm sure anyways. Let's get this going for this coming Saturday. We're going to have a storm system that probably flies across the northern states. This will probably dump some heavy snow across areas of the Dakotas, the high plains. Could bring some snow across the UP and Michigan, some snow across eastern Canada. And then it could fizzle apart once it gets to the northeast. And then another storm shows up. Cold air oozing a little bit south, therefore the jet stream begins to ooze south. The storm track starts to get south. Okay, we start to get into next Monday, right? Look at the snow showing up, very cold air associated with it. Mouse is giving me issues. And that brings snow a little bit further south. Okay, getting into Tuesday the 26th, and then the boundary settles south as Arctic air begins to settle south. And all of a sudden, about 8 days, 7.5, 8 days from now, the GFS, which keeps going back and forth, wants to show snow as far south as Oklahoma and the panhandle of Texas, all the way down to Missouri, with an Arctic boundary setting up, and snow all the way down into Arkansas, the Boot Hill, Missouri. Please don't look at this and say that's exactly what's going to happen. That's not why I'm showing you. I'm showing you this for a reason. I'm about to tell you why here in a second. Active storm track, cold air nearby. Turns, last night showed an epic winter storm run for the eastern U.S. Shows something else too, but it's warmer. Cold air continues to ooze south. And there's just a lot of cold air where there normally should be this time of the year, but this could be really cold air. And there's just a lot of energy flying around all the way into December with cold air on top. Okay. Now the Euro, kind of the same thing, multiple rounds of energy into next week. This is Thanksgiving, shows a storm system over the eastern U.S. We're not sure if that's exactly where it will be, but you get into the weekend after Thanksgiving, shows a winter weather event developing across the plains. Is that what's going to happen? I don't know, but does show a powerful storm system, as we greet December. But we don't know if that's going to be the way it happens. This will be more of a severe weather event more than anything. What we do know is if we kind of switch it to the GFS ensemble, this is the part that might get a little bit confusing. We're going to have a connection of cold air from the Arctic, what we call a cross-polar flow. Okay? The pattern setting up will not be like what we're about to deal with later this week, where we have kind of a cutoff low. We got a ridge spiking up to Alaska. Okay? We got cold air dumping down into this trough. Okay? Into the lower 48. We do have a ridge spiking over the eastern U.S. How do we get the progression of this trough? Does it continue to move, into the eastern U.S.? But regardless, you see this arrow I drew. That is a funneling of cold air from the true Arctic. So this will be Arctic air, in my opinion. I really think it will. Okay, and we keep this going, and the trough just broadens. So at this point, we have a ton of cold air based off the GFS ensemble, dumping into probably what is a pretty active storm track. It's going to start off obviously further north, but this is a lot of cold air dumping into this dip in the jet stream, and unsettled weather is going to show up in the blue. Okay, big trough dumping down, cross polar flow, ton of cold air filtering into this dip here. Now, what is this exactly going to be the way it happens? I don't know, but what I do know is I'm very confident on the middle of the country getting a lot of cold air. And what you're looking at here is the 200 millibar wind speed chart. This is about where the jet stream on average flows. The jet stream is where your storm track is going to be. And this shows a pretty active storm track right over the middle of the country as we get about a week to 8 to 9 days out. And with that active storm track, which means, you'll have, low pressures going like this, cold air up here, you're going to run a winter storm threat somewhere. Multiple winter storm threats potentially. Okay, so just want to kind of break down the pattern briefly. We'll get more and more detailed on it when we need to. So as far as what's happening today, it's a pretty active weather day. I mean, we got a lot of rain across the deep south, heavy rain, even some flash flood warnings ongoing, no severe weather. The rest of this storm is going right into that ridge, just like we talked about. This is linking up with a little bit of cold air, so rain starting to switch to snow in North Dakota, Montana. This is all rain getting up into Canada. And all rain across the Great Lakes region. And then we have the beginning stages of a powerful storm system in the Pacific Northwest. Watches, warnings, and advisories are littered with it across the western U.S. Blizzard warnings in the Cascades in the red. Winter storm warnings in the pink. Winter weather advisories in that purplish color. You got high wind warnings, high wind watches. You even got that down here in like South Dakota, even into northern Nebraska. High wind warnings, high wind watches. Winter storm warnings up for the northern counties in North Dakota. Winter weather advisories surrounding it. And then look, winter storm watches up for West Virginia, even into the far western county of Maryland. And yeah, a lot of stuff. Excessive rainfall outlook. We do run the risk of excessive rainfall right where California and Oregon meet. Brookings, Eureka, Fortuna, hopefully I pronounced that right, could get a risk of flooding here. And then we'll kind of zoom out and then we'll look at this. For the deep south, I mean from southeast Louisiana, Mobile, all the way to Panama City, Pensacola, Gulf Shores. Yeah, a risk of flash flooding, a 15% risk of flash flood guidance being exceeded within 25 miles in a given location. We'll stay in this area. And we'll look at the risk of severe weather. We do have a marginal risk, level 1 out of 5 risk of severe weather. New Orleans, kind of the same areas included, but a little bit further north. So if you live in this area, there is a risk of some of these storms becoming severe today. And then we break down the southeast. Big area of rain moving across the deep south. Rain will start to take over most of the state of Georgia, the panhandle of Florida, the rest of Alabama throughout the morning. And then as we start to get into this afternoon and this evening, some of this light rain will make it all the way to South Carolina. Scattered rains across Alabama will continue up to Tennessee, eastern Kentucky, West Virginia. This will just be all rain at first. And then this will continue, just scattered rain showers across the southern Alps, the Carolinas throughout the night, and we're waking up to it tomorrow morning. This will add up to a little bit of rain. Nothing too crazy at all, but that's what to expect over the next 24 hours. The Northeast, quiet this morning. Some energy will begin to move in. So by the time we get into this afternoon, this evening, some showers, like I said, will be taking over West Virginia, most of PA. It takes a while for it to get to eastern PA. We'll start to get some showers. We need the rain into New Jersey, the Delmarva. This won't add up to a whole lot, but certainly we'll take anything we can get, right? But, you know, raining, light rain falling in the Delmarva. Most of the overnight hours, some showers drifting around across the Northeast as we're waking up for our Wednesday morning in the Northeast and New England. The South Central U.S., things will calm down, maybe some breezy conditions, some cooler air. We get into this evening, we get into the overnight hours, and folks, there ain't a whole lot to talk about. It's a very quiet day across the South Central U.S. Now, the North Central U.S., the rest of this system will begin to head on out. We'll be dealing with showers most of the morning and afternoon in the UP of Michigan. The rain will switch to snow, which will be heavy in the far northern counties of North Dakota. And this will last throughout the evening, the overnight hours, and eventually this energy will start to pinwheel around this trough, and we'll start to get flakes flying around tomorrow morning as far south as Minneapolis and down into eastern South Dakota. And it'll just be snowing in this area, a lot more cold air filtering in, and we'll have definitely a more festive, snowy-like day across areas of the upper Midwest tomorrow as this energy begins to progress southward that we just broke down earlier in the video. And snowfall just between now and the next 24 hours. Several inches of snow will add up in the northern counties of North Dakota from this. And then out west, this morning, not super active. It'll be a different story by the time we get into bedtime this evening across the Pacific Northwest. Powerful storm system with a ton of moisture associated with it will move into the Washington and Oregon and Northern California. This will flood the area with a lot of moisture, higher elevation snow, just an atmospheric river set up with this, strong winds, and this will make its way all the way into Wednesday, into Thursday. And this is just winds between now and the next 24 hours. I mean, we're talking about tropical storm, maybe hurricane force winds along the coastal regions of Washington, Oregon. Higher elevations obviously favor for even stronger winds. Even in the valleys, 30, 40 mile per hour wind gusts are possible with this. And, you take a look at how much precipitation can fall. This is just precipitation between now and the next 3 days. I mean, Northern Cal, anywhere from 5 to 10 inches of rain could add up. Higher elevations, this could be snow. Even the lower elevations, Portland all the way to Medford and Oregon. A couple inches of rain. Warmer system, so you're not getting snow down the valleys or anything like that. But the impressive part is the snow, guys. Look at feet of snow adding up in this area. And this is just over the next 48 hours. Taking a larger look at the Rockies here, not, a ton over the next 48 hours across the Rockies, but this is really the Cascades and, surrounding mountain ranges. Temperatures today, this will change quickly over the next couple of days, but enjoy the warm weather all the way into the Ohio Valley, 60s, northeast, not too bad, southeast, not bad either. Certainly moisture on the return here, and in the middle of the country is definitely chilly, 40s, and then the western U.S. Is definitely cold. So that's all I got. I can hear my kids coming unhinged in the other room, so let me get off here. But God bless all y'all. Also, just want to thank y'all for the support over the last week. The videos have certainly upticked. I'm not sure people were just excited about the winter weather. The thumbnails might be helping or whatever it may be. But, it's been nice. I've kind of, I would say, entered a level of acceptance with the YouTube thing. So, mindset wise, things have been much better with that. Definitely have, been in a better place mentally with that. And but just want to thank y'all for the support. A reminder, I will be on vacation starting Friday morning, so we'll try. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with that. But if things continue to look really active next week, then we'll see what we're going to do. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet as far as keeping you guys updated. But God bless all y'all. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you again soon.